All right, YouTube. This Detroit's HPTV coming to you out of Detroit, back with another video. Now, if you've been watching my videos, we talked about Chicago Red and how the Chicago community of citizens have been going after Brandon Johnson, the corrupt mayor who's been allowing all those illegal immigrants to suck up the resources from the Chicagoans, and how he's trying to raise their taxes in order to pay to support those illegal immigrants. Not only is he betraying the interest of his community, he's wearing a black face while doing it. Then we're going to talk about how the New York mayor has finally come in out of the rain and he's siding with Trump and the new borders are. And the left is mad. If you recall, Mayor Adams had just recently been indicted and had his home raided by the feds. Doesn't that sound familiar? You know, when you become a political opponent to the left, it seemed like the feds kick your door in all of a sudden, and next thing you know, you're indicted. So that happened a few months ago with Mayor Adams once he started going against this situation with the migrants. He started seeing that the migrants were hurting the citizens and the people that voted him in. So unlike Brandon Johnson, he came over to the side with Trump and the rest of the patriots. Now, there's a problem here in Detroit because the more Chicago raises hell about the migrants in Chicago, they're sneaking the illegal immigrants through the back door and bringing them to Detroit. I got footage. You know what I mean? This is not something I'm guessing or making up. You know, they're giving them preferential treatment. They're giving them assistance, cash assistance, bridge card assistance, and housing while the people of Detroit are still struggling. I have family members indefinitely laid off from Chrysler and the big three, can't find a job and they're struggling to actually even get their unemployment while they're bringing the migrants in the back door of Detroit as they are escaping the ridicule and observation and the scrutiny that's going on in Chicago. So they really playing a three-card Molly. They're shuffling the migrants through the black communities and through our residential areas, and they're draining the resources from our communities. This is problematic. This is problematic, especially for a city like Detroit or Chicago or New York, where there's predominantly black people. You know what I mean? They sliding them in on us and denying us resources and telling us, don't believe your lying eyes. We actually did a call-in, and we're going to start naming names. We're following how Chicago does it. We called Michigan's Human Health and Human Services place to see about getting cash assistance and aid for homeless people and veterans. A Mr. Siniski, his name is Siniski. They deny you over the phone, they deny you in letters, no matter what your situation is. So we're going to call his name. His name is Mr. Siniski. And we're going to keep getting these people names that are denying our people services while they're employing immigrants and finding them jobs and finding them places to stay. Because I want to know, how do they find jobs and get preferential treatment when they can't even speak the language? If they can't speak the language, surely they can't fill out an application. Because if you can't speak a language, usually you can't read it or write it. So how are they finding the resources that are being denied the citizens in Detroit? Yeah, remember his name, Siniski. Yeah, we're going to get all their names. We're going to follow Chicago Red's lead in exposing these liberal Democratic puppets that are hurting our people, hurting our country, and giving the resources of the taxpayers to illegal immigrants. Now, you have a lot of these liberal mayors and governors saying they are going to stand up and actually fight the federal government in behalf of the illegal immigrants. What would make them fight so hard for illegal immigrants when they don't fight for their own tax-paying citizens. There got to be something nefarious going on behind the scenes. And it reminds me of the Democratic Party of old, the Dixiecrats, the ones who fought to uphold slavery and created Jim Crow and the Ku Klux Klan. They fought in 1865 to maintain their property of slaves. Now they're willing to fight now to maintain their cheap labor. What's going on with that Democratic Party? They're going out kicking and screaming. They have proven to be an enemy to the people. They ran a whole campaign, again, on late-term termination of pregnancy, gender reassignment for children and prisoners, tampons in the boys' bathroom, open borders, and identity politics. They ran an anti-God, anti-family, anti-country campaign. And now they are in our faces saying they are going to fight to keep the immigrants in our communities while we suffer and are denied resources. We cannot let this happen. We have to stand with Chicago, and we have to support the Mayor Adams in New York since he's decided to come to our side. But I want to show you this clip. I got two clips. The first clip, I'm going to show you when The View, the witches of The View, actually tried to humiliate him and say that he was standing with Trump and he was changing his position on migrants because he was scared to go to jail. They was trying to, throw a monkey wrench in the game and try to kind of slander his character. So without further ado, let's get into this first clip. And you check out these dastardly demons. This is for fair use of the 1976 Copyright Act for Education, Commentary, and the First Amendment. Check it out.
Here for decades. Mayor, you were talking before the break about folks living in fear. And one of the things that's causing a lot of fear right now is immigration and what Trump is promising to do. It was a key issue for voters. Trump is vowing to do mass deportations. There's 500,000 undocumented immigrants living in New York City. Some have lived here for decades. There's DREAM Act kids, dreamers living in New York City. Again, some have lived here for decades. What's your message right now for the people in New York living in fear?
And we have to be very clear on the role of immigrants in our country and city.
Now let's say this. The immigrants are living in fear of being deported, but the American citizens are living in fear of great bodily harm, being robbed, and starving to death. So those are two different fears, right? Let's continue.
Going back to early Italians, early Irish, early the roles of just all the groups, how they have built this country, and particularly in New York City. I don't believe in mass deportation. This is a city where we tell whomever is here to, if you're a victim of a crime, call the police. If your child must be educated, let them go to school. If you need medical attention, allow them to go to the hospital. But Americans have been clear, though. We have a broken immigration system. I don't believe in mass deportation, but I don't believe in mass saturation.
The Americans have been clear. We want them sent back to where they came from. They are an existential threat to our livelihoods, our families, and our communities. They are undocumented. We don't know who they are. A lot of them came from prisons in Venezuela. You have gangs from those other countries. We want them gone. And nobody's scared to say it anymore. Nobody's scared of these liberals, these diabolical, wicked weirdos. Think about what they stand for. Everything that we want that's good, they want the opposite. They want to destroy the nuclear family. They want to give preferential treatment to illegal immigrants while they reassign the gender of our children. And they wanted to put tampons in the boys' bathroom. Like, really?
20,000 migrants and asylum seekers came to the city, cost us $6.4 billion. I'm not allowed to let them work. I'm not allowed to have them be participating in the tax base of this city. We can't deport those who commit crimes in our city. We are not allowed to connect with ICE. This is a failed system. We need to fix it. And if we don't fix it, we're seeing what's happening in Chicago, what's happening in Houston, what's happening in Denver. This is wrong for cities to pick up this course. They only gave me $200 million out of $6.4 billion that it should have gone to everyday issues in our city.
On the other side of that coin, though, you've got Trump, who says that part of his plan is to send troops into the states and into the cities to conduct these mass deportations. Would you let him come into New York City? What's your scenario? What are your plans if he tries to do that in New York City?
We have sat down and did scenario plannings on all of these issues.
Have you noticed their language? See, these people, they're wordsmiths. They've been telling these mayors, what are you going to do if he comes to your city? Like they're telling local mayors that what are you going to do when the president and the board of czar and the Congress and the Senate and the Supreme Court and the 74 million Americans come and tell you we want those immigrants out. What are you going to do? Like, we know what he's going to do. He's going to fold. See, these women, they have no idea of what they're talking about. These are the type of women that vote for a war that they ain't going to never see. They're not going to ever be on the front line of a war. They're not going to ever be on the front line. They're going to be somewhere talking. When confrontation happens, they're not going to be on no front line. They don't understand what happens on the front line. On the front line, you got to be about your business. Because when you're on the front line, ain't no turning back. And when you come for a king, you cannot miss. These women are just talking, asking him, well, what are you going to do? He knows what he's going to do. He's going to bow down.
And there are a lot of laws, there are a lot of requirements. What we must do is to be prepared to address the issues as they come in front of us. Our team has been there. We looked at all of these issues and all the conversations that are taking place. The operationalizing of the theories that people want to do is different from the actualization of it. Again, people conflate sanctuary cities with the migrant and asylum issue. That's not the same thing. People who are paroled into the country, the sanctuary cities is stating to those who are here that you have the right to access the services of this city, because that's how we treat people in New York City.
Let me ask you this,
Yes.
Mayor. Back in September, you were indicted on charges that allege you accepted luxury travel perks and illegal campaign contributions from a Turkish official who was seeking political favors. Now, a few members of your inner circle have also been indicted. More are under investigation. I understand you have pled not guilty. You continue to run the city. But critics are suggesting that you have recently embraced Trump, perhaps because you want either the charges dropped or perhaps a pardon from President-elect Trump.
It would be Sonny Houston. You know, they pose that question as if they don't realize it's an insult. They're saying that he has ulterior reasons to want to assist the citizens of New York, the citizens that voted him in, that his actions now are self-serving because he was indicted and he wants a pardon. Well, this didn't age well, seeing how Joe Biden pardoned the rock star, the rock smoking son Hunter, and pardoned him for 11-year span. So even if he did want a pardon and he got off that Democratic plantation, he stopped doing a bidding with those migrants in New York, he's still welcomed, because at the end of the day, the only people that still pushing a Biden-Harris agenda are people who are mentally challenged. You know, the Harris and Walz campaign and the narrative they push has created one of the greatest mental health crises in the history of this country. These people are having meltdowns. They are going insane. they are losing it over a Trump win, that they will destroy the whole country and sabotage everything out of spite. They're sore losers.
Response to those critics?
Well, I think nothing is more challenging than not being able to defend yourself in public.
You have the floor. I know that
I'm sorry?
you have the floor. Well, he can't really talk about the
There you
case.
go. Former prosecutor. I'm so glad you're saying that.
Can't talk about
former
the case,
prosecutor.
but you can talk.
Look at that old hag, Joy Behar. Typical woman. You got the floor like she has some type of authority. You have the floor like he has to answer her. This whole election was a rejection of the big mama Medea types with that big mouth. Nobody's listening to you anymore. You don't fight no wars. You don't do no heavy lifting. You don't do nothing but run your mouth. While men suffer. They got this man on here, and he's a mayor, and they talking down to him and being condescending. But he's allowing it, you know what I mean? But they have a lot of nerve to be talking to a mayor. They're not respecting his position, who he is, his manhood or nothing. They're grilling him and really casting dispersions on him because he has finally decided to do something positive for the citizens of New York.
About whether or not you believe that your recent embracing of Trump, your critics are saying, is because you hope for a pardon or you hope to get some sort of charges perhaps dropped.
Listen, I said it over and over again. I did nothing wrong. I spent 40 years of my life, 22 of them as a police officer, protecting the children and family of the city. I'm consistent of that. I live my life the way I expect everyday New Yorkers are supposed to live their life. I have a legal team. They're going to manage that case. My job is to do what I've done since January 1st, 2022. Make sure crime goes down in the city, record number of housing that's built in the city, turn around our economy, and make sure as you leave this place that you could enjoy the safety of the city. That's my job. I've lived up to that. And the challenges that we face in life, can you continue to do the job that you were elected to do? And the numbers are clear. I'm doing that every day.
Okay, well, thanks for coming by. Come again if you need to. Thanks to Mayor Eric Adams.
Well, I'm going to play the video where Mayor Adams, he tells him to cancel him. He's not scared of cancel culture anymore. I'll make sure this is the right one.
Aaron Reagan, Voice of America.
Those who are here committing crimes.
I'm going to show you the video that actually when he went back to New York and they were still asking him, was he going to stand with the new border czar and Trump as far as getting the immigrants out of their city. And he says basically that he's not afraid of cancel culture. But cancel culture as it used to be coming from the left is obsolete. It doesn't work anymore. The left has no power to cancel anybody. They've been canceled by the majority of the Americans who voted them out. They're canceled. So if people are still thinking that they have to kowtow to liberals, they're mistaken. You know what I mean? If you see them shaving their heads and, you know what I mean, and a 4B movement and all this crying and insane rhetoric, why would you kowtow to them? The Democratic Party is finished. Never to return again. You know, they should have been finished after the Civil War. They should have never have been allowed to reconstitute themselves as Dixiecrats. That was the mistake of allowing them to keep that party that has succeeded from the Union and waged war against the Republic. They should have never been allowed to maintain that party. Because in the maintaining of that party, they created the Ku Klux Klan, Jim Crow, and they undermined the nuclear family to the point that they kept their ex-slaves on their political plantation for decades. Facts. Do your history. So at this point, nobody is really worried about them canceling them. You just have to look at their behavior. Look at their behavior. They was talking about they didn't want to go to Thanksgiving with their family members. Who wanted to be around them? When they couldn't see that gender reassignment for children was wrong. You know what I mean? They can't keep their name off the Diddy list and the Epstein's list. Who wanted to really be around them? They're showing their true colors. You know what I mean? We just didn't know it was this many weirdos in this country. We didn't know it was that many. That we didn't know it was an epidemic of perversion in our society, an epidemic of atheists, anti-Christ, anti-Bible, anti-God people living among us, hiding behind virtue signaling and self-righteousness. We didn't know it was that many closet hypocrites, but now we see them plainly. And we have to remember, on another note, that while they're pushing those immigrants out of Chicago and they're shuffling them around, they're trying to bring them in Detroit covertly. If you're from Detroit and you look around, you start looking at who's doing the construction, who's doing the work on the roads, all illegals. All illegals. But when you call and you go to human services and you try to get benefits, you're being denied. They're denying the citizens and giving the resources to the illegals, just like they did in Chicago, just like they did in New York and other places. There has to be some type of nefarious scheme behind this that we have to shine the light on. Why would they supplant us and remove us and replace us with these immigrants and allow us to suffer? It's evil when you think about it. It's traitorous and it's treasonous. So you have to get, when you call these people for services, you have to get their names. We have to be able to identify and know who they are. We have to do exactly what Chicago Red is doing in Chicago to these politicians and these fake people who claim to represent us on city councils and other type of authoritarian positions, even at the social services offices and things like that. We have to identify who they are. Got to know who these Benedict Arnolds is, these traitors, these Judases are. Think about it. Now I want you to see this last clip of Eric Adams, what he says about, going to cancel him if you don't like what he's doing at this point.
Those who are here committing crimes, robberies, shooting at police officers, raping innocent people, have been a harm to our country. I want to sit down and hear the plan on how we're going to address them. Those are the people I am talking about, and I would love to sit down with the Board of Czar and hear his thoughts on how we're going to address those who are harming our citizens.
You're open to that?
Open to
hearing what their plan is to deport some of these folks, and you think the city, in some circumstances, should cooperate with ICE.
Let me. You know what's interesting? And I was talking to the team the other day. I want you to all go back and Google Hillary Clinton and Barack Obama. Google what they said about those who commit crimes in our city and what they said in our country. They said those who commit crimes need to get out right away. That was their position. So this is not a new position, because in the state of in the era of cancel culture, no one's afraid to be honest about the truth. Well, cancel me, because I'm going to protect the people of this city. And if you come into this country, in this city, and think you're going to harm innocent New Yorkers and innocent migrants and asylum seekers, this is not the mayor you want to be in the city under.
Playing wordscapes only 10 minutes a day sharpens your brain.
Well, all right, Mayor Adams, way to strap them on. So, as you can see, even after this election, they are still trying their best to plant these immigrants in our community so deep that it'll be hard to even locate them and find them because they have the help of these liberal mayors and these liberal governors who act as if they will succeed from this republic and stand against the will of the people to protect illegal immigrants. You had them even talking about up in Boston, they wanted to be a part of Canada, as if they didn't put Canada in check a week ago when he went to see Trump. And if you're a Detroiter, you probably don't even realize, unless you are paying attention and following the news, that border Canada is destroying our communities. They're thinking they're bringing immigrants from Canada into Detroit. Think about that. And they're keeping them downtown. To where when you, a black citizen, a Detroiter, you need resources, you can't even get them. And you don't know why. Look at your Democratic mayor. Well, that's all I got for you this Wednesday morning, hump day. And as always, this Detroit HPTV coming to you out of Detroit. Support the nonprofit Detroit's Black Dog and Ash Collective. Cash App is in the channel description. And as always, salute to all patriots. Y'all got to keep your head on the swivel for real. Like, share, and subscribe. Peace.